did you start fighting?
My first fight was the very end of 2007, I think. Maybe the very beginning of 2008, something like that.
So you were into like strength and conditioning and it was long before you wanted to fight.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I did martial arts when I was a little kid. I did like Taekwondo when I was like 12. You know, I have a yellow belt in Taekwondo, if anybody asks. And then I did wrestling in high school, and that definitely helped, and that's when I started picking up strength and conditioning. You know, originally I started doing it like looking at like Navy SEAL training online and doing like the Bud's warning order, you know, hundreds of push-ups, hundreds of pull-ups, lots of dips. I had one of those little things in my room where it was just like the dip machine, pull-up machine, and then had like elevated handles so you could do like really deep push-ups. And that was like all I worked out on for like the first maybe like year of my training. And then I finally met like a real strength coach, and I went to a Bigger, Faster, Stronger seminar, and that was the first time I ever got introduced to cleans and like heavy squatting and like big deadlifts and barbell type movements. Before that, it was all bodyweight stuff. So I did gymnastics when I was a little kid for a couple of years, and so transitioning onto all that Navy SEAL stuff was, you know, no problem at all. It just made sense at the time. Not that stuff's not good, but you gotta do the other stuff also. So I had basically no heavy loading for my legs at the time. It was all upper body. But I remember the first workout I did on that, it was like 3 sets of 3 pull-ups, and then after I did it for a year very consistently, I ended up doing like 7 sets of 15 or something like that. And I was a 15-year-old kid, I probably weighed 150 pounds, all upper body, and so I could just rock out some pull-ups at the time, all dead hang. And you know, that's big time improvement, but I had no lower body strength to go with it, none at all. And then I started doing heavy squats and deads, you know, like high rep, 20 rep squats, and you know, gallon of milk a day, and you know, all that like old school barbell training. And then I slapped on like 30 pounds of muscle over the course of about 8 months. I went from like 160 to 190, and like all of my high school sports completely changed. Like playing football, I felt like all the other kids just like stopped trying. I didn't realize that I was getting better, bigger, and stronger. I just thought the other kids were like doing walkthroughs. I just pushed them out of the way and keep running, and I was like, oh well, he just, you know, he was just going easy. And it took a while for that to really sink in because I had such a big change in such a short period of time. And then obviously I was sold on weight training after that.
When you started BJJ, did you intend on fighting, like, well, like, what do you call it, like not professional,
yeah,
or whatever? I mean, was that your intent, or was it just to do it just for fun?
Well, a little bit of both. Like when I first started learning Jiu-Jitsu for the very first time, it was after wrestling practice in high school, and I was already competing in wrestling. And at the time, we were watching UFCs. Like I remember ordering UFC 4 on pay-per-view when I was like 12 or 13, when I was super young, before it was big. I never would have thought back then that it was going to grow up into this, you know, big sport like it is today. I thought it was like this, it was this underground sport that didn't get a whole lot of attention, was only on pay-per-view, and was viewed in a much different light than it is today. You know, more barbaric and, you know, the human cockfighting thing, and not so much like real athletes training to be real athletes, right? So yeah, I guess I did kind of intend. Well, I guess I didn't really intend to compete because I didn't think it was an option when I was back then. I was learning it because I thought it was cool, but there were no, that I knew about at the time, there were no tournaments or fight promotions available. So it wasn't really an option at the time, but I wasn't opposed to it. And then once I finally learned that it was an option, when I was in college, I started training at Team Quest, and then I started doing grappling tournaments, and then eventually I started picking up boxing and kickboxing. And you know, I moved to Memphis, and I started competing when I got to Memphis here about 4 or 5 years ago. A couple of injuries along the way. I've had some big breaks. I've had like 2 different periods where I had to take a year and a half off. I haven't fought in 2 years after I dislocated my hip. And then after my 4th fight, I had surgery on my shoulder. I didn't fight for almost 2 years in there. So like, I had like a couple fights in a row, surgery, a couple fights, dislocated hip, and now I got a couple more fights lined up. I don't know how many more injuries, how many more hospitalizations I can take, but funny enough, it doesn't get to me as much as it probably should. I'll probably carry a whole lot more when I'm 50 and I have arthritis in my hip. But so far I feel pretty good.
You get nervous before a fight?
Sure. Oh yeah, everybody gets nervous. I mean, if you're not nervous, then you're being unrealistic. So as long as you can kind of get to that right level of nervousness where you know you're taking it serious, but you're not so hesitant that you're gun shy and you're holding back, That's a good place to be.
I hate you.
Hey, let's roll.
You love us.
Now are we rolling?
James, I was watching the Lucas podcast today, and I noticed that you didn't get enough close-ups of me.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're just going to have to deal with that. If you
Get
weren't
his
so lovely-
man pouch on camera.
I was like, whoa. Hang on.
Man pouch.
Oh.
We
Are we going yet?
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we are. We're rolling.
Rolling.
how do we know we're really
We're
rolling?
good. We're good.
Welcome to Barbell Shrugged. I'm Mike Bledsoe, here with Doug Larson and Chris Moore, your
Hi.
host. Yeah.
Hi.
Our guest today, Alex Meadows.
I thought you forgot his name for a second. You looked at me like, what's his name?
Alex Meadows, world champion, Jiu-Jitsu fighter / player, whatever people call it. And you've won worlds and Pan Ams.
Pan Ams.
So
Nogi twice.
Nogi twice. So run through like what you've won the last few years, because it's pretty impressive list, and I can't remember all of it because I have a short attention span.
The most significant titles was the Pan Ams and Worlds. They're run by IBJJF. It's called the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. So they organize the world tournaments that has the most credibility nowadays. They're run in the U.S. The Pan Ams Nogi is in New York City, and the Worlds is in Long Beach, California. And they have them every year. So that's where is the title that every grappler want to win, is the Pan Ams and Worlds. It's an amateur sport, but it gives credibility for the professional who teaches, who wants to live the sport itself.
And you also received your black belt this past year from Marcelo Garcia.
Yeah, it was a great honor. Marcelo is a great reference in the sport. Some people consider him the best pound-per-pound grappler that has ever existed. And it was the
That's
first time.
saying something, isn't it? Shit.
That's a big deal.
That's funny. You got to be a world champion, then you get a shot at a black belt. Is that how it worked?
It depends. Every black belt had different criteria.
Yeah, that's extraordinary.
I met Marcelo a few years ago, and I wanted to be under his wing. So he said, "Oh, you're gonna have to work hard because I measure my accomplishments with my rewards." And he's been a black belt for 9 years, and only after 9 years of black belt you're allowed to award black belts.
Oh.
So after 9 years, he received his third degree as a black belt. And me and a guy named Josh Watskin, who's a chess player. He's also his student at his gym, and also his business partner at his gym.
That's a good combination of things. Master chess player, then black belt jiu-jitsu practitioner. Shit.
Definitely. They develop a revolutionary website called MG in Action, which it's a based of I never knew that before. I always liked to play chess, but never professionally, of course. I know there's websites that teach chess or teach techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So he based off of those websites to teach jiu-jitsu techniques through video, through keywords that you can search. So they break down the game, I imagine, same way as they break down chess. And then it's a very effective tool for you to learn from the best.
One thing I noticed.
Sounds awesome.
There's thousands of videos on that site.
Yes.
And they're all fantastic. I've looked through it.
Yes, they always update. You get sites of techniques. You get videos of techniques. You also get to see videos of Marcelo rolling, which it's something that before that on YouTube, since YouTube started, you always look, oh man, there's a new video of Marcelo rolling. It's rare. You gotta check it out. So I guess they figured out it's a product that could sell, and then you can make a living with the art of jiu-jitsu, reaching unlimited people. It's big in Japan, it's big in France, it's big in the US, and everybody can access and get to know Marcelo better and get to have access to his techniques through this website, mginaction.com.
Very good.
Yeah.
I've noticed I did jiu-jitsu for a little bit, not so much anymore, but I did feel like when I was learning jiu-jitsu that it was a lot like playing chess. It was like you do a move and another guy does a move back, and it's just it escalates, and it's a thinking man's game.
I like to relate to chess. The only difference when you move on chess, when you make a move, you gotta wait for the other guy to move.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you, for those there who understand chess, if you could move pieces and your opponent can move pieces at the same time. You don't have to wait for him to move.
It's like a rapid fire game of chess.
Exactly.
We're also getting choked out and joints bended the opposite way, and it's a high pressure game of chess.
What's the chess playing? What do they do? Boxing also? It's like they do chess for like a certain period of time, and then they box around, and then they go back and they play chess for like a minute.
I don't know if I've seen
it's like
that,
a real
dude.
sport.
I've heard of this.
In Russia, maybe. Just kidding.
I haven't
Brazil.
played a game other than like Angry Birds in like 2 years. That really shows how cultured I am. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. What about being down in Brazil? You just mentioned a second ago that it's popular all over the world. It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so obviously it's very popular in Brazil. And you grew up in Brazil, so how did you get your start? I'm assuming that you started doing Jiu-Jitsu while you were living in Brazil.
Yes. In the early 90s, there was a big rivalry between Jiu-Jitsu and the Luta Livre, which is back then. Nowadays, a lot of people practice no-gi Jiu-Jitsu. Is without the kimonos, without the white suits, without the pajamas. Just kidding.
So like the big white martial arts suits with the belts
Yes.
that people see.
Back in the early 90s, it was more traditional. Oh, you do Jiu-Jitsu, you train with the gi. If you don't train with the gi but you grapple, you're from another style called Luta Livre. Nowadays, I think with the evolution of MMA, everybody likes to practice no-gi Jiu-Jitsu and gi Jiu-Jitsu. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So early 90s, Jiu-Jitsu is still kind of like shy growth, is not so popular. But then the sport is starting to grow. Back then, MMA is called Vale Tudo. There's not a lot of footage. There's no YouTube. There's no access to videos. There's only a few events that has happened, and then there's legends about what happened. So in the early 90s, there was this rivalry between Jiu-Jitsu and Luta Livre that they decided to square away. They picked their best fighters to face each other, and it was broadcast in national television. That made it really. It was the first time. It was Brazil has one big national television that reached the whole country, and they had certain rules that they were supposed to follow. But when you're in the ring and you starting to
with so much on the line and so much ego at stake,
yes,
that shit goes out the window pretty fast.
It's a reality. It's a radical sport, and I mean later they adapt the rules to what's real. First, I remember saying, "Oh, you can't slap, you can't punch with your hand closed." They were only supposed to hit each other with the open hand. That didn't go through. You know? They were like, "Oh, it didn't happen like that. Like, oh, he's not doing it right." No, they just started punching each other.
So the jiu-jitsu guys, were they wearing gis for this?
No.
Okay.
No, they knew better.
They trained gi,
They trained gi.
but then when they got in the ring,
When they got in the ring, the rules were you could wear a gi if you wanted, but they knew better. Unless you're gonna use the gi for a certain submission or a certain control.
Hoist Gracie wore it for a while against guys not.
Well, I was going to say, for the benefit of the people at home listening in, I guess wearing the gi becomes a liability because it can be used against you. It's sort of a weapon for the other
Exactly.
gentleman, right? And if you yourself aren't wearing a gi, then the other guy will struggle to get a hold of you, your big sweaty ass.
Exactly, perfect.
Yeah.
I feel there's more disadvantages from wearing the gi than advantages. There could be a certain advantage. There could be certain moves that you could use the gi. Maybe grab the sleeve to use for a chokehold, but the opponent could use the gi as well to hold you or to sweep you or to practice the same moves you are trying to practice on him, and then he's all sweaty because he doesn't have a gi and slippery.
Yeah.
So
Even
like a
modern
fish.
day, there's a lot of MMA fighters that still train with the gi, and they feel like there's advantages there, even though they don't fight with the gi on in the ring. Like, why would they do that?
is the gi for a person who practice jiu-jitsu, who practice the gi is a tool for you to refine your technique. You get stuck in positions that you have to deal with. It's not as slippery. When you do no-gi jiu-jitsu, it can be very slippery. Anti-jiu-jitsu is a lot easier than jiu-jitsu itself. It's easier to not engage and just defend, but not really attack and not really go for a submission, which is the ultimate goal in jiu-jitsu, is win by submission. So the gi is a tool for you to refine the technique. If you can submit somebody using the gi, then that helps. It helps your no gi game, because you get stuck on specific positions that you have to work through. You're not gonna slip yourself out. You need to use the leverage principles. You need to use the technique itself to get through with your objective, with your game, with your which is the ultimate purpose of submit. Make the guy tap out, and the game's over.
So for the people in the audience that don't know the history behind the UFC kind of blowing up in America, originally Royce Gracie came over to the U.S., and this might be a loose version of how this happened, but he came to the U.S. and he more or less challenged everyone in the United States to a fight. And he thought that his martial art was the superior martial art, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was better than Taekwondo and Karate and Kung Fu and all these other traditional martial arts. And so he came in, and nobody really knew Jiu-Jitsu since he was the only one that came in with it, because his family kind of pioneered that style of martial art.
Is he the one that took all the early titles in UFC?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. He won
He kicked everybody's ass for a long time.
Yes. Back then, it was a battle of styles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You had one. You mastered one thing.
Yes.
And you just sort of see who would win, like some Discovery Channel show where they throw out the computer animations of who wins, a grizzly bear or a great white shark in a fight.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then, as the sport evolved, everybody practiced everything, because it's important to know submission holds, but you can be knocked out. So it's important to keep your distance from knocking out, or maybe you want to develop that skill of knocking people out.
I think he was the first guys I saw who got beat up, like punched repeatedly and knocked down for like multiple rounds. Like this guy just getting his ass beat.
He fought Dan Severn, and he took a beating for like 15 minutes straight.
And then Dan finally gets winded and he chokes him out. Right?
I remember I was probably like maybe not.
Is that the guy with the mustache?
Yeah,
Yes.
big wrestler guy.
Yes.
I was like 14, 15 years old, and I was watching it. I went and rented, UFC 3 or something like that from Blockbuster. And Dan Severn is just pounding this little guy in a gi, and he's on top of him the whole time.
But he couldn't finish him.
No, he couldn't finish him because, Royce knew how to, like, defend on the ground.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Dan Severn taps out. Or I forget
what was
exactly.
Dan trying to do? Just get on top and just
Yeah,
pound
he
him
was
to
on
mush?
top of him. All of a sudden, he tapped out, and I had never seen jiu-jitsu before in my life.
Yes.
I go,
Royce got him with a triangle choke.
yeah. And I remember seeing that and going, what happened?
Yes.
Like, I had no idea. And it was like, I wanted to learn jiu-jitsu after I saw that. I was like,
Then you realize this is a brilliant, badass strategy to give this guy a few moments of overconfidence where he's punching and punching. He thinks he's beating your ass. And you take the pain, all knowing that he will fatigue and he will become overconfident. And he will let a limb hang out in space too long, and you strike, and it was all over.
That's kind of like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu started. Helio Gracie, Royce's father, was known for being like physically challenged. He had I forgot what he had as a not tuberculosis. He wasn't strong, and his brother taught judo.
Yeah.
And he observed he observed how he taught his techniques, and he adapted to his reality. I'm not strong, but I can use leverage. It's just how I position my body to control the position and to build leverage, and then execute chokeholds, joint locks, and finish the fight. I might not get it on 5 seconds, but I'm willing to hold it for like half an hour, and then when you are not as mentally tough to realize what's going on, I'm gonna catch it and capitalize and then finish the fight. And that's all that matters. Who won? It's Helio Gracie.
Yeah,
That's how he would prove that jiu-jitsu is effective, by being a smaller guy, not strong, but with a lot of mental toughness and a lot of endurance and a refined technique.
It was such a clear way of demonstrating what was the best fighting style at the time.
Yes.
Like, no matter what your physical form was, you could go up against a sumo wrestler who's 500 pounds. When he tires out, you ankle lock him or something, and he's done.
As long as you get him to tap out, the fight's over. And that's what jiu-jitsu is. That's why you practice every day with jiu-jitsu, is getting your opponent to tap out through chokes, through joint locks, arm locks, leg locks, ankle locks.
And for the listener, none of this shit is fun to have done to you.
Yes, it is. We do it every night.
I know, but if you're in a serious, you get in a fight with somebody, they put you in an arm bar or any of these chokes, and you want to play the tough guy move and hang on, you should rethink that.
It's not as bad as getting punched in the face. I'll tell you that.
I don't know. Actually, I probably would disagree if it was a street fight and you're not tapping out. They're not just stopping. Like at practice, someone hyperextends my arm and I go, oh, tap, tap, and they let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But in the street fight, they're going to break my arm.
Does that happen in Brazil where...
I mean, getting punched in the face
Yeah,
is one thing,
you
but getting
talk-
your arm snapped in half is...
In Brazil, if I
Yes.
talk shit to you in a bar and I push you in front of your girlfriend and I threaten you, are you going to take me out and just fucking wrench my elbow out of socket? Does that happen? That kind of situation?
Well, I guess, I mean, fighting is universal. Conflicts
Yeah.
are universal. It depends. They say, statistically, 90% of all altercations end up on the ground, if there's time to it. If a bar fight happens, you might not have time, or you might not want to go to the ground if the guy has friends that are going to break a bottle on your head while you're on top of the guy beating him up.
That's a good tip.
Yes.
That happened to me one time.
So, I mean... Exactly.
We get in bar fights in our free time on the weekends.
So
Roadhouse style.
We'll have a bar fight episode one day. We'll just tell bar fight stories.
James
James has never been in a bar fight before.
Not yet.
And
I never have either.
we've been,
I'm a lover.
you guys, we gotta like break you guys in at some point. I don't know how.
Is go in a bar, find a group of unsavory characters. Say, hey, you know, shut up, your fucking stupid face. And see what they do. See if they can provoke a
I
fight.
used to get in bar fights because
Your girlfriend is sloppy looking.
see, I'm not as big of an asshole as I used to be, and I don't have the ego I used to have. So that's probably why I ended up in bar fights back in the day, and it's just not gonna happen anymore. So we've got to come up with a really clever way to get James and Chris in a bar fight.
We got to get you back in the military somehow.
You're a shining example.
All right, so Hoist Gracie came to the United States, and no one else knew jiu-jitsu, and being a smaller, maybe 165-pound fighter or something like that.
Yes.
Well,
180. He's kind of tall.
okay, so he's a tall, thin person. He's not a
Yes.
very strong-looking athlete, and being the only person that knew jiu-jitsu
That's
and
his
having good
advantage.
technique, you know, he could take them out. But then once everyone else realized, hey, this guy's onto something, he's got some good stuff, we need to learn that, then the athletes started showing up. You know,
Yes.
the national caliber wrestlers,
Yes.
you know, the boxers and kickboxers started learning how to wrestle and how to grapple, and everyone
Yes.
started to learn everything. He didn't quite have the advantage that he used to have. He's still very good, but once everyone else was clued into his
Everybody
game,
was catching up with his game and learning from it, and that was the purpose. The Gracie family created the UFC
Mhm.
in order to sell the art.
Mhm.
They had this project to expose Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, back then Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, to the world. And I think it was a genius idea. Build an octagon, the ultimate fighting championship. It was a brilliant idea.
And sure as shit worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
A few rough years there where they tried to call it barbaric and all this silly bullshit. Like American football is not barbaric. I mean, it's American. We love it.
yeah, it took a while for the public to get educated on what was going on.
I think it's cool how everybody in that family, everybody associated with that family was able to create a little economy out of it and open schools and instruct and spread what is really a super honorable, you know, martial art. I mean, it's, you know, super detailed, filled with a bunch of awesome people. I mean, it's really cool scene.
It's a great art. It's a great sport. It's something that helps you with self-defense. It might help you build confidence. It's something where it's an activity kind of like CrossFit, where you meet your buddies, you work hard, you have fun, you party after. You might kick some
But
ass
you
in the
do
bar.
you do get close to your buddies because you guys swap sweat every day.
Yes.
That's the only part. You better get used to getting real close to your dude friends.
Yes, that's how we roll. Kind of like when you guys.
That's
squat.
how we roll.
Kind of like when you guys squat back, hold each other.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Oh, when you're spotting.
It's like when Bledsoe and I wrestle on Saturday nights. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with a couple of straight dudes wrestling
No, we're just practicing our moves.
on Saturday nights all by yourself.
As long as there's no eye contact. Just kidding.
Actually, one of my favorite jiu-jitsu moments was when you came in just to try it out maybe 2 years ago. And,
I had like
Andy was armbarring you.
I had a little run there with doing the martial arts a little bit. Yeah, I got trained for 4 or 5 sessions and went off and did the Naga meet at Donald Classic.
Yeah,
Yes.
you did
Guess
compete.
That was awesome.
2000.
You get
I did
second
all right,
place?
man.
I was there. I
By the
remember Chris.
Well, I
kicking
almost
ass.
had that guy, dude. I almost
Yes.
had that guy.
We've got that video. You need
Oh, yeah.
you need to edit that in.
Yes.
We got a video of him.
It was close on points. I remember.
It was that was one of the single hardest physical things I've ever done. in my life. 'Cause I'm not experienced enough to relax and use moves, so I basically had to manhandle this giant guy in round 1. I just squeezed his head till he quit. And then the second fight, the guy was actually
How much training did you have back then?
like I did like 2 sessions of an hour,
Yeah, not much.
and I did the second. I fought the second guy the same way, and that went to overtime, and I finally beat him on points. And then I fought the guy in the 3rd round. I was 255 at the time. The guy I was fighting had to be like 355.
Yeah, he was huge.
I was like, son of a bitch. I'm gasping for air still. And this guy is this gigantically huge, pretty sloppy, but he knew a thing or two. So I quickly went to the ground with him on top of me. And my only memory of it was just pushing up into just heavy sheets upon sheets of flesh. Just pushing all I can into him, and the flesh moves, but his body doesn't move. So I just struggled and then finally somehow I got around the back of him. He got a little tired, and I said, shit, here's my time. Flip off my back, get on the back of him, and I just got around his head. And I sort of had my forearm and bicep on the side of his cheek. I just squeezed this guy's head with everything I had for like 2 minutes.
That poor bastard,
I was
man.
like, motherfucker, you're going to quit, man. And afterwards, unfortunately, I still remember Alex telling me, all you have to do is just move. You just make this little knuckle when you slide. I go, fuck, I could have known that before. It would have been great. So I would have had that guy in 2 seconds. He would have been done.
I was there yelling at you, but you were too focused on.
I couldn't hear
Pushing the
anything.
flesh.
I couldn't hear anything. But that was great, man. It's an awesome sport. There's so much to learn, man. So much to learn.
So you end up with second place, right?
Yeah, it was pretty
On
good.
2 days training. That's
That's
awesome.
a big ass
Yes.
meet too, man. That was like 10,000 people in that arena.
We have a habit in our group of friends of competing in jiu-jitsu with minimal training. Your brother competed with like a week of training.
Yeah, he did the same thing. He had like 2 days training,
it's
like
a
in our
pretty big
in our
test.
living room, and then went and did the the beginner division at Naga
It did pretty
in
good.
Atlanta, I think.
Yes.
And
It's a
he
pretty
won
big-
4 out of 5 matches.
I mean,
Yeah,
when you step
chokes.
out onto a mat in front of a lot of people, and you got to fight a guy, like you sort of have these visions of maybe a little bit of a gladiator scenario. It's just me versus this guy, and I'm gonna beat him, or he's gonna beat my ass. I mean, this is how it's gonna happen. And it's probably gonna be a little sloppier, a little aggressive because it's not experienced guys competing. But yeah, it's intense, man. I mean, it's a good challenge to take on. You learn a thing or two about yourself going through that.
For sure.
John Benz did it too, right? Who else has done it?
John's competed before. He
He went to the Arnold, didn't he?
I'm trying to remember where he competed at.
And also to point out that we went to the national championships or whatever.
He
Naga.
did go to the Arnold.
And the Arnold, I guess, is a really big scene for every sport that shows up there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not just like your local high school gymnasium where people come in and watch you wrestle guys. They have those level meets, I guess. But this was a lot of people, and like, how many mats do you think they're running simultaneously? I mean, it's a
What's like 8 or
16
something?
16.
Yeah.
16. Oh,
mats.
wow.
This is the bigger.
Naga is a NAGA, is North American Grappling Association, is one of the biggest. I mentioned before IBJJF, International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. They organize the Worlds and the Pan Ams. Naga organize tournaments all over the U.S. Now they organize tournaments also in Europe, Hawaii.
That's cool.
And they're expanding. So it's a big tournament. That year that you competed, they combined. They went to the Arnolds. So you had a Naga tournament inside the Arnolds. It was big. I remember it was crowded with people.
Yeah.
Chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Chaotic.
Yes.
I gotta get
But it was
Max
a great
in
show.
Naga.
Actually,
We
to
have-
kind of bring this back to the the spirit of this podcast, which is generally a strength and conditioning podcast. Once everyone realized that they needed to know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and they needed to know boxing, and they realized that the other sports or the other martial arts rather weren't that effective, like karate and kung fu weren't getting it done, and those guys weren't winning fights, and everyone knew for the first time like which martial arts were the most effective, and they kind of mismatched the best striking boxing and kickboxing or Muay Thai with grappling and wrestling, or
Correct.
the takedowns from wrestling into this mixed martial arts system. It was no longer debated whether which martial art was the best, and then at that point it really started to matter who was the best athlete. You know,
Exactly.
it started to matter who was fast,
It
and
wasn't
who was
anymore a
powerful,
battle
and
of
who was in
styles.
shape.
Yes.
You know, there was no like magic trickery, like, oh, I just didn't know that move. I'd never seen that before.
Yes.
I'd never heard of that before. Everyone knew the same stuff, and so it really started to matter who was a better athlete. And that's when strength and conditioning really started to penetrate the sport of mixed martial arts. And now everybody has a strength coach.
Exactly.
And so nowadays you have to be strong and you have to be powerful, and you can't just go for a long jog anymore and think you're going to be in good enough shape to
Yes.
compete at a high level.
The sport has evolved to that level. It was the natural evolution of the sport. I think the UFC is what, on number 150. Every edition of the UFC.
Lost count a long time ago.
Yes.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 146 I think was the last one.
UFC 5032. Cleveland.
But after each one, something new with it. The UFC, I think, was the ultimate lab for martial arts. Oh, you think ninjutsu? I remember when a ninja showed up and people were, what is really a ninja? And he didn't last too long. You know, there was a lot of myth. Oh, but a ninja.
What?
Is,
He couldn't sneak
He's got
into
the death touch.
If he could have snuck into the octagon in the dark and
Maybe with a
stabbed you
small-
with a fucking knife, he would have won. Sure.
Right.
I think ninjutsu came from like they're assassins.
Yeah.
So they were just supposed to be
snuck
sneaky.
in.
They're not supposed to fight you like face to face,
They
right?
snuck
Yeah,
in,
yes, yeah.
past the samurai guards and shit, and went in and killed you and got out of there.
Yeah.
But when you define the rules, okay, this is the octagon, is them two, no weapons,
No throwing stars.
just a hand-to-hand.
No weird
combat.
little wooden shoes. You
No
fucking
smoke
assholes.
bombs. Maybe with a smoke bomb.
Yeah. slap, 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 slap.
I have a better chance, but yeah, the UFC was the ultimate lab. Oh, you think you're art, or you think you are the best? Go prove it.
And I have to say, I'm really satisfied with that outcome, because your whole life you see all these fucking bullshit like kung fu movies and stuff. They're great, they're awesome, but the footage of the old man doing all this meditation, scratching the bark off a tree, and fucking pirouetting and kicking and doing all that crazy ass stuff. It's nice to know that the guys who still can kick that guy's ass are the guys who work really hard, master the foundations of technique, are open to learning other things. It's the same things that will help you to master and get good at any sport you take on.
Yeah. Well,
So hard work and being open-minded and mastering your skills beat all the mysticism and all that bullshit hands down every time.
or maybe the kung fu could work against somebody who doesn't know how to fight. If you're doing more than that guy. But when you put a lab, okay, no, this is the UFC, this is the octagon. You think you know how to fight so well from kung fu, you're gonna face a guy who does judo or jiu-jitsu. You might have a shot. You might be able to knock him out with your
Spinning cobra back fist
exactly,
or whatever the fuck you
your
do.
1-inch touch, 1-inch punch, whatever.
5-finger death punch.
Exactly.
No, I'm not taking anything away from Kill Bill, because that fucking movie's badass. But that shit doesn't work.
Or Bruce Lee. I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee and his.
But Bruce Lee had a good attitude about, you accept
he
what
had
is useful and
philosophy,
reject
yeah.
what is useless, and if there's something you can assimilate
Exactly.
and use, that's probably the spirit of mixed
I
martial
think
arts.
Bruce Lee would have
Sure.
been doing jiu-jitsu if he'd just stuck around a little
Did you
longer.
know he could
Definitely.
he could punch out and hold a 130-pound dumbbell for 5 minutes? Did you know that? It's true. Look it up on the internet. There's a blog. It's all the truth I need. I used to love reading those little books about Bruce Lee. He's got a bunch of awesome
Oh yeah,
quotes and
I
shit.
owned him when I was a kid.
Yeah, and all the crazy ass
Jeet
training
Kune
he
Do.
was doing apparently, and that's a fascinating topic, man. He died way too soon.
Yes, I
I
agree.
don't know what the fuck. But
So-
yeah, that's a good idea. Accept what is useful and reject the useless things.
And I think that's what MMA evolved to. Nowadays, the top athletes, if you're not training something that might you might get caught on something at the when you go to the UFC.
I mean, the athletes now, to Doug's point, are nuts. Like, is that Jones guy still the reigning badass of the whole thing?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
John Jones.
John Jones.
God,
He's destroying
man.
people.
Yeah, he made Rashad Evans look like an infant.
Oh, I didn't know the outcome of that fight. What happened now?
He won by decision.
Yeah, I mean,
So, but
John
was it ever-
Jones obviously played it safe and just
He didn't
kind
wanna
of just
get
kept
too-
his distance, threw some good licks. Rashad Evans was actually threw some kicks, I think for like the second or third fight ever. Oh, he had to.
throw a twist in there?
Yeah,
But was it ever really in contest? I mean,
No.
not really.
No.
No.
He was very excited
he was
about
never in
everything he
danger.
did, but it wasn't as effective.
That
as-
guy, you look at his physical form, like this guy is genetically not like you. He's different.
John Jones, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
genetically on another level.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
He has a longer reach. I mean, he's a great wrestler. He can take you down. He's got submissions that work really well for his
The spinning
body.
fist, man, Jesus.
Spinning elbow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he was throwing elbows when Rashad Evans was like within punching distance.
Yes.
Rashad would come in, and then like John Jones, his wingspan is just so big, so long. It's more effective for him to throw an elbow than to throw a fist.
He's got like Snoop Dogg arms, but really muscular.
Yeah, our buddy Scott was actually watching the fight with us, and Scott's 6'10", and John Jones is 6'3" or 6'4", and John Jones has like a 1 or 2 inch longer
What?
wingspan than Scott, who's 6'10".
Mm-hmm. This
Oh
kind of
my
shows you what kind
God.
of mutant that guy is.
He just has freaky long arms, so he can get you from a mile away.
You got Anderson Silva's built the same way. You're probably going to start seeing guys that are built that way dominating the sport. Kind of like we talked about swimming and Michael Phelps being built a certain way, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, ultimately, I mean, the guys who there's this moment when technique and coaching and work ethic and athleticism and genetic gifts all come together in a few athletes. So the guys who clean jerk 550 plus in the Olympics and powerlifters who deadlift 1,000 pounds and jiu-jitsu practitioners who can do all these amazing things and master all these thousands of moves. It's just these guys are special guys.
John Jones also come from a family of athletes. I think his brothers are in the NFL.
Yeah,
Something
actually, I
like
saw
that.
him. I
Oh,
saw
I
him
didn't know
tweeting about
that.
that the other day. I think his brother's just about to get drafted or
So
something.
he's got
Yeah.
everything on his advantage. I mean, the genetic, the
And also
family
seems to be a
structure.
pretty good guy. I mean, seems relatively humble and like a nice guy.
Yeah,
does.
Even that, he's
But before he won the belt, I don't know if you guys remember. He was it was in New Jersey. He was hours before the fight. He was meditating on a park,
That's right.
and he heard somebody scream, "Oh, thief, thief, thief!" You guys remember that?
Yeah, I remember seeing
he
that.
caught the thief.
Yeah.
I mean, forget it. I'm fighting for the belt in a few hours.
Sure.
No, he caught the thief, held the thief until the cops arrived.
Yeah. Like, gave the lady back her
bad
purse.
timing for that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
the worst luck ever.
but-
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think he beat him up at all. He just kind of like
he
knocked
just
him down. And,
yeah, he just held him on like with a leg lock to keep his distance, and
Was it-
until the
yeah.
cops arrived.
what's John Jones?
Pretty cool
I heard
story.
he walked around at like 230 pounds or something.
I thought it was bigger than that. He weighed 229 the day of the fight. I think.
Oh, so he walks around much.
And then I think he walks around like more like 245. Like he walks around big, 250 maybe.
Hmm.
Well, they
Forrest Griffin does the same thing. He walks around big.
Well, I've seen Forrest once in real life, and that guy was just like a monster.
He's a big
Yeah.
person.
He's tall, yeah.
I mean, he looks like a caveman.
Alex is unimpressed.
No, he came to our gym once. He took a class
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
He took
Sure.
one of my classes. I'm proud to say.
Sure.
He's a really cool guy.
Oh,
Yeah, I never got a roll with him when he was there. Hart got a roll with him.
Yeah.
how long you been doing jiu-jitsu, Alex?
I started jiu-jitsu 20 years ago. It was a little before the Luta Livre and Jiu-Jitsu challenge.
Uh-huh.
Coincidentally, I got into the scenario a little bit before, and thank God I was on the winning team. I was very proud of Jiu-Jitsu when they beat the Luta Livre, and after that, Jiu-Jitsu started to boom in Rio. And with the UFC, I think the boom went all over Brazil with the popularization of MMA is fascinating. It's the fastest growing sport. I mean, just a quick story of how it's fascinating. I heard Dana White say once, "Well, if you're in a court, people are playing basketball on one side, some people are playing soccer on the other side, other people are playing baseball on the other side, and everybody's like sitting there and watching. If a fight starts, everybody drops everything. Hey, let's go watch the fight." And that's kind of like
That's
MMA
true.
attracts people. I think everybody wants to see what the
Well, it taps
real deal is.
into primal, indulgences to see a scrap and to see
Yeah.
how that's going to play out. I mean, that just triggers your deepest parts of your brain into action, man. You can't not pay attention to that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and I think the way they developed the rules of the sport with maybe shorter rounds. When the UFC started, a fight, one round could last like 30 minutes, so you'd be like, "Oh my god, yeah, this is great." Not really, but now I think, no, I'm sure the fighters on their contracts, they win more money if they knock the guy out on the first round. If they finish the fight quick, they make
It's like
a
having
high
a shot
purse.
clock.
Yeah.
Encourage the big swings.
And everybody wants to finish the fight fast so they can go home and not have any damage done. So you want to train for that. It's what they say: train hard, fight easy. So as the sport evolved, like you said it earlier, you don't just go jog and I'm badass, I'm good at it, I'm gonna win this. No, you got to really prepare. It's a high level athlete against another high level athlete because the sport has reached that level.
Of course, imagine it goes far beyond training now. Also, probably is. You guys are probably using pretty advanced recovery methods and nutrition programs. They're probably paying for chefs to cook their meals. Some of the more successful guys. It's
everything
getting
counts.
Pretty fancy, man.
Everything counts. It's like a CrossFit. Every second counts.
Right.
In fighting, everything. Your takedown skills, your boxing skills, your jiu-jitsu skills. I mean, I can be a good jiu-jitsu guy, but if I cannot take the guy down and the guy's a good striker, and my game's not gonna match his, so I gotta be good at that.
You've been doing jiu-jitsu for 20 years. When did you start doing? When did you do any kind of strength and conditioning? So you went in the gym and you trained jiu-jitsu. When did you start? Like, I mean, even just going to the gym and lifting weights and stuff like that. I mean, and when did that start and what did you do?
Will be right after we opened the Bartlett location. Doug Larson was a student of ours, and I heard he was a strength coach for the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
And I just started working at the gym as a jiu-jitsu coach and taking it a little more serious. And as the sport was evolving, people was like, oh, strength and conditioning is important for jiu-jitsu.
So you didn't lift weights prior to that at all,
Before,
really?
I'll do some pull-ups, some push-ups, lift a little, but nothing designed towards my performance. It was just out of, oh, that guy does that. He does push-ups, dips, and pull-ups.
Beach muscles.
No legs. Yes, exactly. No legs. He runs at the beach, so he might be good. But the sport evolved. It's not the jog anymore. It's not just doing push-ups after class. No, you got to do a little more than that. So I got together with Doug, and he explained some basic concepts that I never thought about it before. Jiu-jitsu is basically push and pull. Wow. I never saw it that way. I mean, really. And that makes a lot of sense. So you got to work in big muscle groups of pushing and pulling, and then you can apply your technique more effectively. Wow, again. So
Elegant, simple.
Before, I might be doing a lot of stuff that wasn't as effective, or lifting weights. But yeah, I'm going to get really resistant. I'm going to do 30 repetitions of this. Well, if you want to build strength, it's less repetition and more weight.
Yeah,
and
you
then
already get
build up
plenty of
to that.
repetitions doing all the other shit you do. I mean, you pull on a guy for an hour is probably plenty of pushing and pulling endurance work.
Yeah, but for an hour. But if you give one good pull, then you don't need to be there for 1 hour.
There you go.
And then you finish faster and you go home.
Force
safe.
and power.
And then, exactly.
Force and power.
And then you're a machine because you got the technique and you got the strength. And then you work your cardio too. And then you start really running with the sport and start really being effective and performing better and then evolving more because you see more of what you can do. And then the sport evolves too with that.
When you started doing like strength work with Doug, did you see a big jump?
Yes.
And I think that was pretty close to the time when you started training with Marcelo Garcia, right?
It was close. Right, a little after that. I think yes. When I started training with Doug, I started writing emails to Marcelo Garcia, and it took a while for him to answer back. And after 1 year, he came to Memphis for a seminar. The interesting thing about Marcelo, he doesn't lift any weights, but he reached a level that he trains hard, like really hard. I learned from Doug, there's no better exercise than doing the sport itself, and that's true. But not everybody is as good as Marcelo is to perform, to row hard effectively at the high level all the time. It takes a while to get there. So
This makes me think of something. I was reading back through some stuff Glenn Penley published on some forum about his approach to training. Now, he used certain exercises for certain people, and he gave the example. He was talking about Caleb Williams. Does that ring a bell? He's like a 105 plus weightlifter, good young weightlifter. I think he's at the training center in Colorado Springs. We talk about how this guy wasn't a terribly good presser. He could probably press like 175 pounds, but he's maybe the I mean, I think Glenn describes him as being the best technician he'd ever seen with body position and technique and timing in the weightlifting movements. And that's hugely complicated to do, is to be really, really advanced at the clean and jerk and the snatch. These are hard exercises, as anybody who's tried them, who sucks at them, discovers quickly. But here's a guy who didn't need to work a whole lot of, assistance work or pressing or push presses or anything like that, because he could jump with a bar with perfect form, catch it on perfectly locked elbows at the right time, and he could jerk 400 pounds. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Then he described how Donnie Schenkel has to train the jerk. How he does a whole lot of push presses, does a whole lot of heavy rows, a whole lot of things to strengthen his back and his arms, because he lacks those perfect positions. He's still damn good, but because he doesn't quite get there with the best form, he needs more of the other things to help him stay at that high level. I mean, Donnie's a hell of a lifter, but had to take a harder path to get there. So it shows you, what's right or wrong? Do you have to have one thing to reach a certain level in your sport? No, it depends what the other things you have are as well. But there's that sound like a very similar vibe.
I believe the energy always goes somewhere. Like before I started doing strength and conditioning, I was just training, and I realized there was stuff I wanted to do. My mind was like, my mind was going there. Oh, I wish I could do this, but I don't have the strength, or I can't move this way, or I can't move effectively this way. So my mind was processing. The energy was going somewhere. I believe like my technique was developing in my mind. And then once I had the strength, that thing that I wanted to do, I can do it. And then
badass.
Eureka. And then from then on, you can evolve to how would I say that in English? To frying bigger fish.
Yeah.
Before the stuff that you just wanted to do.
Well,
now I want to do more. Now I want to move to the next level, and that's the evolution of the sport as well.
And you've won absolute division.
Yes. At Worlds.
At Worlds.
No gi.
That means absolute division means that no weight class.
Yes.
Shit.
So what's the biggest guy you had to go against? And
heavyweight, super heavyweight. I fought a super heavyweight. I fought a heavyweight.
What's that weight?
The guy might have been like I got it on video. Might have been like 250 pounds.
So you showed up to Worlds.
And your weight is what?
I mean, he's a 250-pound
I
world
fought
class
162.
grappler.
I was
Jesus.
162.
So this guy has
how much did you weigh?
162.
This guy has
162.
like 100 pounds on you.
And he's a world class athlete.
Yeah.
If he's at Worlds, he's one of the best.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then
from Chicago, yeah.
And you beat that guy, and you attribute some of that to just being stronger and faster.
Yeah. If I didn't have the strength, I couldn't keep up with the pressure that he was putting on me. And I couldn't apply the moves that I wanted to apply on him. I didn't beat him by submission, but I had the endurance to score points on him, to keep attacking him while he was attacking at the same time, or I attacked while I made him defend himself from me, and that's how I made the score. But I had to have the strength and conditioning. I have to have the physical and the mental strength to be able to perform, and that came with strength and conditioning, with specific work. It didn't come just by rolling at the gym with bigger guys. I wasn't at that level. I needed extra work. I needed homework to do with the weights and with the techniques of strength and conditioning.
And we mentioned earlier, like, you don't like doing a lot of repetition with weights. You see the value in low repetition, and a lot of fighters kind of want to like punch with dumbbells in their hands for their strength training.
I guess it depends what you're training for. I guess striking, you might want to do punches with the low weights to develop speed. With jiu-jitsu, I'm not against doing a lot of repetition, but I want to do what's going to be effective for my game. I believe like lower repetition and higher weights is going to be effective to what I want to achieve with the grappling game.
So when you come into faction and train, I mean, you're not really doing any high repetition stuff, though.
Never. No,
Just
increasing the weight in a safe pattern. I don't want to get injured, so it's important to have a strength coach to watch the posture, to somebody that knows you, say, oh, this weight is good for you, and you just build a safe development of your strength and technique.
What would you tell a fighter who wanted to just do conditioning? or like CrossFit style conditioning maybe, but wasn't really interested in lifting weights because they feel like doing the conditioning is more geared toward their sport. Yeah, you feel like they're missing out on a big part?
Definitely. We watch a lot of fights here in the South. You don't see a lot of knockouts. And I asked another strength coach, friend of ours, Chris Adams.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Chris, why there's not a lot of knockouts? I know there's a lot of submissions because we train a lot with the guys that wins by submission. But why don't they knock people out? I said, Alex, honestly, I don't think they have a lot of strength in their right hand. I said, oh, that made me think maybe they're working the wrong thing. Maybe they should go to Team Faction and get a program there.
Yeah.
That might be why there's more knockouts with the heavyweights than there are with like the lighter weight classes, because their head might not be that much bigger, but they hit so much harder.
That makes sense, yes.
And then they go down easier when
bigger
they get
is going to be stronger most of the time.
Sure. I mean, that's why we have weight classes. Bigger people are stronger.
That makes sense, yes.
You have your data to prove that, Doug?
That's another wow for Alex. He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
This stuff's
How come you didn't think of that?
So somehow I've got to make my head bigger, right?
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So you can take a punch easier?
Your head could not get any bigger, by the way.
What?
You got a noggin.
No.
Not your physical head.
No.
But I
The,
think
the
with
ego is what I'm talking about.
Figuratively speaking.
I knew that.
I think with striking, part of learning. I mean, I'm more of a jiu-jitsu guy, obviously, but with striking, one of the hard things to learn is learn how to take a punch and still stay. Oh, I'm okay, and roll with the punches and develop your technique. How can you knock somebody out? You gotta have that precision. You gotta have that footwork to be on the right position to throw that punch, but you gotta throw it hard, because the guy doesn't want to be knocked out. And both of the guys are very adrenalinized. Guys, I'm from Brazil. Sometimes I get
Yeah, we should have prefaced that at the beginning of the show. He's from Brazil, so he might make some shit up.
sometimes. Yeah.
Sounds like a word to me.
But
We make up a word almost every single show.
Yeah.
So you did it this time.
adrenalinized.
Adrenaline.
Adrenalinized. T-shirts.
Do you coach any of the MMA athletes at Memphis BJJ?
Sometimes we got the current coaches there, Nathan Pang and Jason McDonald, but we're there to help every time. I coached Doug on some of his fights.
Which he seems to win a lot of.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah, so far so good.
So far so good. That's right.
We're gonna jinx him.
I know. You guys say that way too often.
That's bullshit.
I'm gonna get knocked
Doug's
out.
never gonna lose.
Doug's never going to get
silly
knocked
on
out.
I'm gonna have 50 people there to watch me, and I'm gonna get knocked out in 5 seconds.
He just gets more and more popular, and it's gonna hit the tipping point.
We got to think of it this way.
Eventually, someone's gonna, you can't win forever. Someone's gonna knock you out.
Everybody gets got. Is that the
That's
way
right.
it goes? Everybody gets catches a punch now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as an MMA fighter, you got to know what your skills are. I know Doug trains Muay Thai, but he trains more Jiu-Jitsu. And you got to put yourself in a position where your advantage, where your weapon is. You sharpen your weapons, and then you go to fight and you use them. If you're a Jiu-Jitsu guy, you don't want to be standing up against a striking guy. You're going to be exposed. You got to bring the fight to where your advantage is. You might do some striking. I understand you might do some striking to close distance and apply your techniques. But if you're there, it's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big loss if you get knocked out.
I remember when Brandon Slay came and did a seminar at Memphis Jiu-Jitsu a little while back, and Brandon Slay was I think it was in 2000. He was an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, and he said that his coach told him that he needs to spend 75% of his time working on things that he's already really good at.
Yes.
20% of his time working on things that he's only kind of good at, and only 5% of the time working on things that he's not very good at. Because even if in his case, he's a very strong, powerful guy, great for wrestling, and he's not very mobile, not very flexible. And if he spends a lot of time working on stretching and whatnot, it's not going to matter. All it's going to do is make him mediocre at those things. But if he can get really strong and even more powerful and truly be world class at the skills he already possesses, well, then he can really make something of himself, and he did.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense to me. Marcelo Garcia, he's famous from being one of the best guys in the world for with the rear naked choke.
Mm-hmm.
But he rear naked chokes with his right hand. So he always tries to bring the game to a control position where he can apply his right hand on a choke.
You just gave away his secret.
He gives away his secret every day on mginaction.com.
Oh yeah, he's too damn good to care, I guess.
But yeah, you sharpen your weapons, and I agree with Brandon 100%. That's the realization that I think I had.
That's just what I did, because like that jives with a lot of the like some of the business shit I've come to understand, that there's all these things you will probably do well, and there's a shit you could be working on to improve upon, and you could get better at that. But it's much better just to kick absolute tons of ass with your strengths and just have somebody else do the things you're bad at.
I mean,
you spend all this time trying to get good at the things you're bad at, but I mean, it sounds like a good, honest, American ideal. Improve your weaknesses and be a better man. But I guess that's can most of the time be sort of bullshit.
That's absolutely true.
Like, you suck at certain things. You want to go from sucking to being mediocre?
Yeah.
And not developing your strengths.
Pay somebody else to do it. There's a reason I didn't make this shirt. It would take me a month, and it would look like shit.
But then you would
I could just
have
go
the
buy one.
satisfaction of having honed your craft towards being able to now make shirts. There's honor in that, bro.
Even in other sports like football, you got the wide receivers, you got the linebackers. Everybody's good at something. Not one person don't play all positions. You got to find out what you're good at, and then you make the team. You're not going to be good at everything. Chances are you're not good at anything if you say you're good at everything.
All right.
Same thing with jiu-jitsu.
Unless you're a CrossFitter.
Check yourself.
That's right.
Check yourself, or you're going to fucking wreck yourself, bro.
We're going to do, I'm going to ask one quick question. We're going to take a break. So I'll ask you this question, and then I'll let you plug what you want to plug, the gyms that you train at, Marcelo Garcia stuff. Okay. So I want to ask, how popular is BJJ in Brazil? Is it like a national sport, and how respected are the fighters?
Nowadays is a national sport. National sport would be soccer, but it's a sport that you find all over Brazil. Before, big center was Rio de Janeiro, and that's it. Maybe the Amazon, because the Gracie started on the Amazon. They migrated to Rio. They brought the family and the art to Rio, so it became very popular to Rio. But nowadays, with the globalization, the access to videos everywhere, and the sport is more mature, is more there's more descendants of the sport. There's more schools that people migrated to teach all over the country. So it's pretty popular in Brazil all over. The second most Rio de Janeiro is the state with the most practitioners, as I understand. I think the second biggest place will be California. And that's where the world tournaments are. That's where a lot of Brazilians migrated to, and open schools, and there's a lot of practitioners there.
Well. I actually got in a taxi cab this weekend in San Diego, and my taxi cab driver was from Brazil.
He had cauliflower ears? No.
No, not a fighter.
No.
We definitely drilled him on why'd you come to America? He said San Diego is the best city in the world.
Yeah, they say that.
That was his opinion.
I hear it's very similar to Rio de Janeiro. The weather, the ocean, and there's a lot of Brazilians that live there too.
Yeah, we got to go to Rio de Janeiro and see if that's true.
Yes.
Absolutely awesome Mexican food, by the way.
Rio?
You're going to have Mexican food in Brazil?
Asshole, I'm talking about San Diego.
There's one restaurant in Rio.
Well, I'm talking about going to Brazil. I've already been to San Diego.
What's better, Brazilian food or really awesome Mexican food? I've never had Brazilian food.
Have you been to Texas de Brazil?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is all just meat, right? Is that where we have the options for?
Yeah.
Meat, plantains,
chicken, lamb, and the salad bar, which is not salad, is like sushi.
Can I go to Brazil and get a big pile of meat and some plantains and
not a big pile of meat. They keep bringing you meat.
Oh yeah, what's the sugarcane liquor I can have with my meat? What's that?
Cachaça.
Cachaça. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Lucas is a fan of that stuff, I think. Yes. The cachaça.
All right, so what is it you want to plug? Marcelo Garcia, Memphis BJJ, and us?
Yes, definitely. Team Faction, the home of CrossFit Memphis, best place to get your conditioning. Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu and Fitness Kickboxing, the best place for martial arts in the Mid-South. And Marcelo Garcia, our headquarters school in New York. Not headquarters, it's where our master, where we get the most inspiration for our jiu-jitsu.
Okay. Very cool. All right, we're going to take a break. Are you guys going to show us a cool video?
Most def.
Yeah, most definitely.
There's something awesome happening.
All right, we'll be back in a minute.
Welcome back to Technique WOD. Today I want to talk about split squats and lunges. We're going to start with the most basic movement, which is just a regular bodyweight split squat. And I'm going to take you through a progression that I use for people here at Faction, where at first, if you're brand new to it, we can learn where your feet should go, and then as you get more advanced, we can find more advanced ways to load that split squat type movement. So first, I like to start people at the bottom using Gray Cook's concept of reverse patterning. If I'm here, my knee is right below my hip, which is right below my head. It's a straight line all the way down to my knee. I like to squeeze this glute and have a vertical front shin. My back foot is up like I'm doing a push-up. This is how I know that I'm in the right spot. I'm vertical and vertical right here. A split squat is simply just going up and down, but if I lunge forward or backward, I would end up in that exact same position. Where I'm not is right here, where I'm short striding it, and my heel is next to my knee, and I have this really steep shin angle, and it's all quad, and it's very knee dominant. Number two, I don't want to be here. Even if I have a vertical shin here, I don't want to be hanging on my hip flexors with my knee way behind me. If you can't pick your foot up, then you probably step too far forward. So what that means is, if I can't go like this and pick up my foot up off the ground like that, then I'm probably too far forward. If I'm like this, I can't pick my foot up, and I know that, again, I'm much too far forward and I'm hanging on my hip flexors. If you're a person that has short hip flexors and you're in that position, then what's going to happen is as your hip flexors kind of catch onto your pelvis, it's going to roll your pelvis forward. You're going to see people like this where they have a hyperextended back and their pelvis is rolled forward and their anterior tilt, and that's very hard on your back, especially if you're loaded. So again, starting at the bottom, vertical, vertical. Okay. For the split squat, if someone's brand new to it and they're having a hard time keeping position, I'll start them holding a band. So again, we'll start right here at the bottom. They'll grab onto the band, get a little bit of tension on it, and then just try and go straight up without pitching their butt back and leaning forward. A common mistake with very new people is that they go like this, and they kind of go back like that, and then they come forward afterward. The other common thing is from the back, you'll see them here, and they'll kind of shoot their butt out to the side as they come up. So to fix that, again, starting off, you're going to squeeze this glute, get a little tension on the band. You're going to push this knee back as you come up, and then right back down to the same position. So that's your level one. Level two is just body weight, and then we can start loading the inside hand. So if my left leg's forward, my right hand can grab a kettlebell. I like to start them here, where the kettlebell is touching my thigh, my shoulder's back, I have good posture, squeezing my glute, and then again, I'm going up and back down. Okay. So that's a regular split squat. Once they've done a lot of split squats and they know how far to step, then you can start to progress them into forward or reverse lunges. So for a forward lunge, same thing. I'm just going to step out in that exact same position and then step forward. For a reverse lunge, it's the opposite. I'm going to step back into that same position and then step forward. If you're an advanced person and you're very comfortable lunging, you can begin to load yourself, again on the inside hand, as heavy as you need to. And once you can't hold any more weight in this hand, you can start to load the other hand, and you'll be holding a dumbbell with both hands. After that, you can start to use a front squat grip. You can start to use a front squat grip for either forward or reverse lunges. I say the majority of the stuff that we do here really is more reverse lunge based. And then what I like to do, we'll do it here. What I like to do after that is to elevate the front foot. So I'm on maybe a 3-inch platform where I can step off, go down, touch my knee, and I get a little more range of motion out of the movement. And then you can load the barbell as heavy as you need to. Also very similar, as we do a lot of roof elevated split squats, which we'll touch on in another video. See you tomorrow.
There we go, dude.
Boom. We roll.
Are we ready to broadcast now? Are we ready? All right. Welcome back, y'all.
Can we get an on-air sign for our
We
studio,
need
no
to.
matter where we are?
Studio?
Stick it up on the air, bright red letters.
We need something like that because sometimes I don't think these guys know that we're recording.
We at least used to have a clap or something. Y'all used to,
You had the clap?
y'all used to give us a signal. Now we never know if we're actually being recorded or not.
That's the way we like it.
That's why you capture all the little fine
I never
details
know
in
when
it.
when I need to like morph into like podcast Doug and stop all the dirty swearing
I thought you
normally do.
were
How many-
already podcast, Doug.
How many Dougs
Oh,
how many Dougs
Okay.
are there? Podcast Doug, Chief Operating Officer Doug, ass kicking jiu-jitsu practitioner Doug.
Action figure line coming out next fall.
You'll have him in a suit with a briefcase and one with a gi.
If I ever have an action figure, that's when I know that I've made it.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. Barbell Shrugged. Still have Alex Meadows on the set.
Yo.
Whatever we'll call this thing. And one of the reasons we kept him around is because we like him. And the other reason is because we're going to talk a little bit about owning a gym and running a gym. And he happens to know a little bit about that also because he's on the he does the judo, jiu-jitsu, MMA.
Memphis Jiu-Jitsu.
Memphis Jiu-Jitsu.
Memphis
Don't fuck with this guy. This is the wrongest guy to fuck with in the room.
I bet I could outrun you.
I'm
I'm pretty fast.
This guy's determined.
Dude, he comes from soccer country.
Yeah.
He'll run you down.
Yeah, maybe not.
But Bledsoe knows pose running techniques.
I know it. I'm not sure I use it, but
Whatever that shit is, you've fallen forward doing whatever you do. It's gypsy running.
gypsy. That, you know what? We should develop a new running style. We'll call it gypsy running. That's awfully catchy.
Never trust a gypsy.
This past weekend, actually, I just got back this afternoon. This past weekend, I went to California. I got invited out to talk to some exercise science students at Cal State Fullerton about, it's kind of like a career day for college students. So I went out there, and a lot of these kids, they don't know exactly what they want to do. Like 3/4 of them are, they're like, oh, I'm going to be a PT student. I'm going to go to physical therapy. But come to find out, there was like 3 students out of like 2,000 that got into a PT program
Oh,
from their program.
Oh shit.
So they probably need to have a backup plan at least. And that Dr. Galpin, Andy Galpin, he put together like a career day for these guys. You did a Skype for one of the classes.
Yeah, I did
kind of talk about
did like a 2-hour lecture with his class.
some stuff.
I didn't know that.
Yep. And
Pretty awesome.
but you talk more about programming, not so much about your career.
That's where it went. I mean, I could have talked a little more career, but
Yeah.
it got into a lot of strength stuff. So
He had another guy out, Dr. Corey Lones, and he is in, not really, he works with like patenting, I can't say
patenting?
patenting, inventing new words here. Things that the university at WashU, they come up with inventions, and they do a lot of research, and so he's involved in patenting things and selling them and stuff like that. So he kind of fell into that field, which was really interesting. So he got to tell the kids, like, hey, there's more than just being a strength coach or a physical therapist. And that was really interesting. He kind of talked about his path. And then I got to talk about owning a facility and growing it to the point where we're opening up. We opened a second one, and we're working on our third gym. So that was a lot of fun talking to those kids because, and all those kids in their head, they go, all they have is, I'm going to be a strength coach or PT. And those strength coaches make this much money, and PTs make this much money, and that's all they know. They're very, I guess, and the faculty.
well, they're young. They haven't even considered anything.
The
Really.
faculty don't know anything outside of academia because that's all they know too. Is like, well, you can be a strength coach, you can go to PT school, or you can get into research and you can become a professor.
Yeah.
Why would they know anything otherwise, right? So we went out there and we talked. I flew out a few days early, headed down to San Diego because I hate LA, and if I go to California, I make sure to go to San Diego for a couple days at least, and enjoy myself in a beautiful city. And I enjoyed myself hanging out with some buddies, some old friends, and we had a fun time. That's why my voice is a little raspy.
Sounds like you're gonna get into some sort of sodomy story. We had
Just wait and see. Just wait and see. Just keep me talking.
We had a fun time.
It was good. It was good.
So you went out there, and instead of doing your Saturday night wrestling with me, you wrestled with somebody.
Well,
is that what happened?
But he came first, like
he came first
years
on
ago.
Saturday he did.
Oh, he got
yeah. I knew one of my Navy buddies is who I went and saw, and I dragged the crew with me from LA, and we all went down to San Diego and had a blast. Hung out with a few SEALs, and those guys are a little intense, so it was definitely fun. Yeah. And then we went back to LA, and then we gave our talks, and we kind of talked about some of the stuff that I went over. I went around the room and I asked, who wants to open a gym, who wants to own their own business, and why. And most of the people, their reason for wanting to do it is because they just didn't want other people telling them what to do. And I was like, that's a really good reason.
Because it sucks being told what to do.
It's pretty much kind of the premise of why I wanted to open up my own place, is because I didn't want people telling me what to do. I thought I could do it better, which is true.
It's going to be really hard to go back. If someday all of our businesses just totally go under and we have to get real jobs, it's going to be really hard to go back.
Yeah, and that was kind of the premise of the talk too, was I don't just own a gym. Like, we got other stuff going on, so you can become a businessman. And we talked about Chris and James a little bit too, and that these guys were super involved in exercise and CrossFit and stuff like that.
The guys you didn't deem appropriate to bring.
Oh, it gets expensive.
To capture. I know, but these guys are worth it, bro.
It's not that it was expensive. We were doing other things.
They were doing other things.
They're busy, important people.
But they
got stuff to do.
We've got plenty of money.
We talked a little bit about how just because you're locked into a degree program and you're really focused on this thing doesn't mean you can't go after your other interests, and develop your skills as a cameraman or, podcasting producer or whatever else. Because Doug and I, probably most of our job has nothing to do with coaching. And that was kind of my message while I was there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to put limitations on yourself. Did you also ask Alex about the gym owning experience? I don't think you gave him a chance to even answer.
Oh, we're just now getting into it.
No,
that was the intro.
We're just now breaching the outer layers.
Right. I did talk about some of the specifics of why I started a gym. What got you into owning a gym and running a gym?
It's I wanted to be close to what I love doing the most, which is teaching and practicing jiu-jitsu. So I guess once you find out what you have passion for, you just want to be there, and it doesn't look like work. Even though you are doing work, you have to be there on time. You have to be there for your students, but you do it so naturally. It's something you just love to do that it creates a reaction. People come there to see and to learn from you. So I wanted to keep that going. So first I was just teaching, just being involved with the sport and with the gym. But it got to a point that the gym started growing and I started having more influence in the gym, and I wanted to extend that. I wanted to branch out. I wanted to reach more people. So it was something natural to happen.
You didn't do it to make $1 million?
I'm still chasing that $1 million. Don't get me wrong, but I want to do it with something I love, and I believe it can be done. You just gotta, you gotta be real. You gotta be honest with yourself. But you gotta be a hard worker. It's not just gonna happen, but it can be done. And like you said, you have a previous formation. Maybe you studied something else in school. That doesn't hold you back from the study that you did in school. Myself, I study economics in Brazil. I have a degree in economics. I used to work with tax consulting. That helped me with the vision of understanding things. If you go through school and you have to put yourself to challenges, something as complicated as economics, as learning microeconomics, macroeconomics, all those courses, you see, man, I can do this that I don't like. Imagine what I can do with what I like. and the whole structure of a degree helps you achieve that.
I think
believe.
I think a lot of people think that you have to like choose between your passion or making a good living. A lot of people are, I think, under the, especially with like gym ownership, a lot of people see a lot of gym owners that don't make a lot of money, or they're a gym owner that doesn't make a lot of money. I think they feel like that there's just no way to do it. I would disagree personally. How do you feel about that?
I think it's hard to know yourself too soon, too early. So while you don't know yourself, you got to get busy on something. You got to be working on something. To pursue a dream early in life, it might be hard. You might have to learn a lot from your own mistakes. But if you're in school, if you're like, okay, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to study economics. And then you're learning from other people's mistakes. You're learning from cases of stuff that happened, or you study something, you read the paper, and your vision goes deeper because you've been studying about, you're studying history, you're studying microeconomics, you're studying about why the dollar has its changes. That makes you have a longer line of thought and understand things and see things beyond what people who didn't have that education cannot see.
But even if you do have an education in, say, business or something like that, you're still going to make a shitload of mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
There's probably no getting around that.
Yeah. If you think that you can get enough education
but if
to
your mind
avoid mistakes,
is well prepared, you make less mistakes because you put yourself through that.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
I'm much more comfortable making mistakes now after having been in business for a couple of years than I used to be. Like now when we do stuff, I don't even care if it fails. Like it doesn't even like cross my mind like that's totally not going to work. I'm like, oh, well, who cares? Let's just try it out and see what happens.
Yeah,
it doesn't really cross my mind that it's a big deal if it fails. Even we just at that point we'll know it didn't work and we'll try something else.
We try something new. It seems like almost every 2 months.
Yeah.
There's like we're like tweaking something within the business, and then I would say more often than not, it doesn't work. Like, oh well, we'll just change it.
People have that assumption that the rich and successful people who've made all their dreams come true through business or something had some big aha moment and they tried something and it blew up, and oh man, if I could just be like them, if I had that good idea for a business or a product, then I could achieve that. Oh, that'd be so great. They don't really realize that
It might
people
take
have
persistence. Persistence and hard work and failure, but you know what you want, so it doesn't matter if you fail. You still pursue.
Like the guy who invented the product tried desperately for years and years and years to get to that point and made all kinds of silly little bullshit things that were stupid and would never amount to anything. But because he did that, he could take the next steps towards the thing that would work. Same with a business or anything.
But maybe if you read about a guy who made those mistakes, say, oh man, that guy did that, so I'm gonna go do this.
Could be, yeah.
A lot of our growth came from reading books of guys who had run gyms already.
Exactly.
We read that book and we'll apply what they did. May not directly apply to what we do, but we can use that.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge driving force for like a lot of the things we've tried to change and tweaks and stuff like that.
Definitely. But the habit of being scientific about it, about reading about it, and that comes from going to school, I believe. You wouldn't have that habit just by I'm smart. I was born smart. I'm gonna
Don't be a fool, kids. Stay in school.
And it's not just what you learn in school. It's people you meet in school that have a vision. Also, is everything. Is the whole environment you put yourself into.
What do you guys do over at Memphis BJJ to try to get members in the door? Like just to get people to come try it out?
We try to operate. We try to be creative with our budget. As a martial arts gym, we I think it's important to be creative. Right now, we believe we have a good website. We work with newsletter, but I think most of our business come from mouth to mouth. Word of mouth.
What kind of facility are you running over there?
I knew something like that was gonna come soon. Word of mouth. We've been around for almost 10 years. And, I mean, if the product is good, it's going to sell. I believe that's something we say in Brazil. And if it's selling for 10 years, something that we're doing is right.
I feel like you guys have got so much momentum. You could probably, like, stop all marketing. You'd probably still have people. You still have growth.
Yeah, I believe so with the word of mouth. I mean, if we're still there, being loyal to what we believe, we're there every day training. We're there on the weekends training. That is contagious, and that is it attracts people. People want to go there and be a part of that, and it builds an identity. I think Team Faction has the same kind of culture. People get so involved, it changes their lives so much that they want to be part of it. They want to come to the gym and be part of it, and they want to bring their friends too, because it's something that has done good for them. And I think that's the best advertisement. Of course, if you can reach more people, the better, because we're in business to evolve, to succeed. So we want to reach more people. But right now it's word of mouth. We got a good website, newsletter. We got some signs that we put on in Memphis on the
Some guerrilla marketing.
Yes, a little bit of that too.
You got a guy in a gi who spins a big sign up front. Hey, come in here to wrestle.
No, there's a book. I saw you guys read it as well about guerrilla marketing, and you try to be creative when you're not a corporation that you have a designated budget. Like, oh, you got $1 million to spend on advertisement. No, if we spend $1 million, if we spend money is less. When you're a business owner, I mean, you're really careful with how you spend your money. If you spend too much, you might not have enough to spend with other stuff. It's all your money, so you definitely want to be creative, which means being smart about how you're gonna reach people, and that's how we try to be.
I know we use on our website, like our focus is trying to get people to just put their email address on our website, and after that we can kind of like start contacting them. Do you guys do that too?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we have like a newsletter with with a big database of email from our members, from people who just want to receive newsletter, just want to receive information about what we have been doing.
And I know you guys used to charge. I know we're in the same boat as you guys. Our prices have fluctuated.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, our prices have gone up. They've never really gone down.
Yeah.
What's y'all's philosophy on like how much you're gonna charge for membership?
I mean, it depends on what activity. We have different programs there.
Mm-hmm.
From we got the whole do anything like MMA, mixed martial art. You can do any class anytime you want. To I just want to do fitness kickboxing. Fitness kickboxing is a 45-minute class. Is a workout is a group workout that you punch a bag. You work with some light weights. I consider that like you're getting your feet wet in martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You're not
Good
really.
usage.
You're not practicing with an opponent. You're not getting hit. You're not. It's just a little bit. You want just a little contact with martial arts. You want to do a workout. You want it to be martial arts, but you're not really fighting anybody. So that'll be like the basic. Not basic. No, that'll be the just getting your feet wet. If you're gonna get all into it, then you do Jiu-Jitsu. You're part of the wrestling program. You do Muay Thai. You might do boxing as well. And then we have a different price for that guy. So it depends on how much you want to get involved and how much you put yourself into it.
Do you guys find yourself like busting at the seams or having too many members ever or anything like that?
That is a good problem to have lately. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes we just expanded our mat area not too long ago, and it was good because some of the classes were getting like not too crowded. We always manage on how to build a class that everybody has enough space to practice, but having more space and more time, since there's a demand for it, yeah, that's where in business.
You guys have to hire more coaches. You get a lot more people. I mean, how does that work? I mean, I know with us, like if we start, we have a lot of growth and we have to hire more coaches. We have to make sure we can pay those guys. So that's kind of where that's kind of how we figure out where our membership price is going to be. I
think it's a natural evolution of our gym. Is we're forming people that we teach are passionate about it, and man, I wanna work here. I wanna be here so much that I'll be willing to work here. So we're naturally having that phenom, so to say, at the gym. So those people that want to be at the gym, we end up offering them a position. Some of them start teaching kids jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them starting teaching fitness kickboxing. And as we evolve, as we have the problem of having to have more classes or having to expand, we find a position for those people.
Yeah, you don't post a job listing like,
No.
oh, we're looking for this coach.
No.
Yeah.
We hire from inside. It's martial arts. It's I think is a
Can you
unique
imagine the people
culture.
that show up at your door?
Yeah.
Hey, I heard there's a job here. I watch UFC. I watched like the last 5 of them, bro.
Well, the funny thing is, I get that. People think they can just, I'm a personal trainer. I got personal trainer certification. Can I get a job at Faction? I'm
No.
like, no. You got to be here first.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, but we'll ask those same people if they want to come train with us for a little while, and they're like, oh, no, not really.
Right.
Like, you don't even want to work out here and like meet us and hang out with us. You don't even know us. Like, why do you want a job here? You just want some money somehow, any way that you can get it.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here, punk.
Not hired.
Yeah, hiring from within really is the best idea.
way.
They've already been through your system. They know how you work. You already know that you can
Beat their
communicate
ass with some
with
tough
them.
workouts, and if they bitch and moan and quit, then you don't want to hire that person in your business. You know?
Yeah.
That too.
My thing is more about community. Like, I want to hire from within because they know how we
Exactly.
operate.
There's a culture. I mean,
Yeah, and they're friends with the people already, and I think that other members like to see members growing into that
every
position.
business have a unique way of doing things. Even if it's a restaurant, I think everybody who runs the place has a way of doing things, and that can get complicated if you have to train somebody from scratch, especially on something unique as martial arts or strength and conditioning or anything. So it's that's how we like to hire from.
Yeah, I ran into some of these kids this weekend too. It's like I think a lot of people have they're under the impression I'll get a degree in exercise science, I'll get my CSCS, and then I'll just get a job.
Meaningless.
But a lot of people who end up with a degree and they go get certified, like if they don't have the experience, I mean none of that means nothing. So
Yeah, really, those things only function to give you some better way of getting your foot halfway into a cracked door. Then you got to really bust your balls. That's when the work starts.
yeah.
So actually, for you coming out of an economics degree and helping with what'd you say, tax planning? What was it?
Tax consulting, tax planning.
So with you're doing tax consulting. How do you know when enough is enough and you want to make the leap to trying to own a gym and following your passion? Like how did you do that?
Well, in my case, I moved from Brazil. When I moved from Brazil is a country under development. There was a lot of immigration going on back then. The United States is the place where you come to pursue a dream. So when I moved at first, I was thinking about doing an MBA for a better job, to make more money in Brazil. But then when I came to US, it was a realization to me. Here's a country that you can do anything, and as long as you work hard enough, you can achieve. In a third world country or in a country under development, not always. It can be challenging because the economy doesn't follow. You might be the best, not the best, but you might be among the best in something you do, but you don't get enough students because life is hard itself. So coming to America with a dream and the willingness to work hard and pursue the dream, yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take effort. It's gonna take sacrifice. But if it's what you really want, yeah, in this country, it's gonna work. And I'm really happy where I'm at right now, and I'm really happy with what I do, and I'm still looking forward to evolve in what I do and develop more.
Go America.
Would you say you focus more on like coaching or on the business side of things?
More on coaching, more on the mat, on the floor.
Well, he's already pretty good at business, man. The guy's smart as shit.
Yeah, but like, what's he focus on? Like when you're working, like where's most of your focus? And I guess you just answered it.
I'm always that's one of the things I wanted to become an owner. I want to be involved with the business decisions, but with the day to day of doing the business side of it, doing the operational business side of it. No, that would be the other partner.
Okay.
I'm more involved with the mat, it's too much to do both. It's in Brazil we have a saying: you can't suck sugarcane and whistle at the same time. It translates like that, but you can't do two things at the same time to do well.
I like the Hungarian proverb. I don't know if it's fucking Hungarian or what. If you have one ass, you can't ride two horses. Same thing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I think I used that line at the strength seminar too.
That kind of brings up a point we talked about earlier, was finding a business partner that complements you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I talked about that a little bit this weekend. I referred to Doug quite a bit. I'm good at this over here, and if I was left to my own devices, things wouldn't go so well. Or, you know, they'd be moderate. And I bring Doug in. If he was by himself, he'd probably run a gym okay, but together, it's a lot better. And it sounds like you guys got the same thing going on. You found somebody who maybe he likes to do the stuff that you don't want to do, and, you know, you each have your strengths.
Yeah. My partner, David Ferguson, he's been involved in martial arts. He's one of the pioneers of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, along with Joe Gingrey here in the Mid-South. He's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has competed at the highest level. You guys mentioned Dan Severn earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. He fought Dan Severn in an MMA match.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? He is involved with the MMA scenario. Yeah. He's very involved with the MMA scenario, and it's what he loved doing. He loves being involved with MMA.
He does some fight promoting now too.
Yes, very. He does Empire Fights, which is a great show, is a great pro show in the Mid-South, and he's really good at it, and he pursues, and that matches well with the competitive gym that we like to have. We like to have our fighters performing live and proving that we're the best school around.
Do you think that because you are an athlete-oriented gym, that helps just kind of set you apart from other facilities?
I think that gives more legitimacy to what we do, because we don't just I think once again, the evolution of the sport. Back then there was myths about ninjutsu. There was like the figure of the fat sensei, just this isn't monkey say monkey do, you go do what I tell you. Nowadays our school is a school that all the instructors compete. All the instructors are compete at the highest level. Last year, most of us went to New York City to compete at the Pan Ams. Some of us medaled, and we're really proud to be at where we are. You know, not just passionate about teaching and sharing the stuff that we try to apply live on the mats, on competition. So that once again, that gives legitimacy to what we do. We're not just teaching something. Yeah, that might work, but I don't really go there to test it. You know, just do what I tell you. No, that is stuff that I used at Pan Ams that helped me choke the guy out and win the match, so I can do the next match and once again, being scientific about it. That's something that I think gives more credibility to any business, any activity.
We got about 5 minutes.
We do. And I feel like with Memphis BJJ, you guys, there was like a tipping point where it went from when Doug and I started there, it was in the basement underneath a karate place. Yeah. So like you had to walk through the karate studio, and then you had to walk down. Like the first time I was there, I was like, "Is this real? Like this is pretty shady." Yeah. And then you get downstairs and there's like sweat dripping from the ceiling.
Yeah. I'll never forget that smell.
Yeah. It was,
the walls were stained with the smell of sweat.
Yeah, it smelled like jiu-jitsu for sure.
Yeah.
I remember when I first walked in there, like right when I got to Memphis, I found you guys online, and I saw the sign. You remember what the sign said? Did it say just like
ring the bell? We're downstairs, because it said like
it said something martial arts or
yeah.
It didn't look like an MMA gym, and I looked in, I see a couple mirrors, and I see some belts on the wall, and it looks like a karate studio because it was. Yeah. And I walked in, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't it. It's got to be like behind this or something like that." Yeah. And my brother was with me. He was like, "You want to just go in and look?" And I'm like, "When we can see the whole place, like, that's definitely not the place that I found online. That's not what I'm looking for." Yeah. And he goes, "Let's just go in and try and talk to somebody. Maybe they can tell us where the place is." And so I'm like, "Okay." So I go inside, and right about the time I got to the kind of the far side of the room, I could hear somebody hitting pads, and someone was kicking Thai pads or something, and I could hear that sound. And I kind of like turned, and I was like, "Oh!" Like I saw these double doors, and I push open the double doors, and it's dark except for the concrete stairs that led down to the basement, and I smelled that smell, and I could hear people rolling and people hitting pads, and I was like, I found it. This is it right here. I found it. I walked down, then I was like, okay, this is it.
Hot jits action.
And then I got hard sold by Dave
Yeah, I guess
right away.
I guess that's where the core of our program was being developed. You know, we're getting better at teaching. We're getting better at training. And from then on, we moved to a bigger facility, and now to an even bigger facility. And but that's where we were starting. It didn't matter if it was in a basement or a fancy facility. We just had the passion to put the work in and want more and want to compete and win, not just on the mat, as a school as well. We always wanted to be the best school around.
I think that's actually a great place to finish this podcast. Good note. Let's go around and well, I'll just tell you guys right now. You should go to fitter.tv, FITR.tv, if you're not already there, and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter. And you can subscribe to Barbell Shrugged on iTunes or on YouTube. And what else? Follow us on, or like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.
Please like us on Facebook.
Yes.
Pretty soon I'm going to have an MMA program that I put together that me and Alex have been following lately. I basically took all the training that we have been doing for strength and conditioning for our fighters and our grapplers, and I put it together into a simple system that anyone can read through and follow on their own. So there's an ebook and a couple of different workouts that you can follow, and then links to videos of all the exercises. And then also I have videos for a 3-hour MMA seminar that I did here about a year ago, all packaged together. It's called MMA Training Day, and that should be available to buy in the fitter.tv store here in the near future.
I want to say
Chris?
just real quick,
Sure.
just because I'm the person who gets to see all the iTunes plays and stuff, and it really is a real treat to see the numbers being as high as it is, because editing this stuff just wouldn't be as fun if no one was watching. So keep listening, folks.
Good job, CTP.
You got anything, Chris?
No, just thechrismooreblog.com. I'll try to put some up there fresh every week for you. Come on by, stop in, say hello.
Yeah, and if you're in town, you want to try some martial arts, come out to Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu. Alex will show you how to choke somebody out personally.
Faux show.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.
That was fun.